Volkswagen translates from German to English as people's car. The original Beetle was exactly that, and since the 70s it's seen huge success with its evergreen family car, the Golf. Its SUVs do big business too. But now it's turning its attention to electric. Its ID sub-brand is what bosses hope will bring zero-emission motoring to the masses. This is the Volkswagen ID.3.
The ID.3 isn't Volkswagen's first crack at a pure electric car, but it is the first based on a set of bespoke, electric-specific underpinnings. It's this platform that will form the basis for a plethora of electric Volkswagen Group models, from the larger ID.4 SUV to the Skoda Enyaq iV. To begin with, there is a somewhat baffling range of specs to choose from, but more on that later. Prices start from a whisker under £30,000 after the government's plug-in car grant has been taken into account, while even the top-spec model with the larger battery slides in under 40k. Cheaper, shorter range versions will arrive later too.
While the exterior design is perhaps not quite as radical as something like a BMW i3, there's no mistaking it for a Golf or a Passat on the road. But it's worth mentioning those two cars because VW has designed this to have the footprint of a Golf, but the interior packaging thanks to the benefits of that electric platform of a Passat. Now, at the front you'll notice the grille-less face, something we'll see on all future ID models, whilst down the side you can see the advantages of that clever packaging. The wheels are pushed right out into the corners, giving this car a really nice planted and squat stance. The black roof extends all the way to the boot lid, perhaps as a nod to the e-up electric city car, whilst at the rear you've got these simple tail lights and some unique ID badging.
All ID.3s get 100 kilowatt rapid charging capability, the same as the Citroën EC4 and Peugeot E2008, with 125 kilowatt charging available for Pro S models. Utilise our car's 100 kilowatt maximum and you'll top up the batteries from 5 to 80% in around 35 minutes, returning a range of around 180 miles. Maximum range is dependent on spec and wheel size, but varies only slightly on the different models. Between 258 miles and 263 miles for the 58 kWh car, or 336 miles on that top spec, bigger battery 77 kWh model. On a mixture of urban, motorway and rural roads, our 58 kWh car looked capable of around 200 to 220 miles on a charge. Most ID.3 owners will charge at home, however, and doing so from a 7 kW home wall box will take around 9.5 hours. Buyers get a Mode 3 cable for public and wall box charging as standard, but you'll pay £180 for a 3-pin plug.
It feels like all the money that Volkswagen has saved by tweaking the latest Golf just so has been plumbed into making this new ID.3 just look that little bit cooler. There are some cheaper plastics in places and it perhaps doesn't have the wow factor of a Tesla Model 3, but it just feels so fresh. These orange accents do lift what could otherwise be quite a dull cabin though.
Truth is, in some ways, VW has tried to mimic the Tesla with very few physical buttons or switches. Every model gets a 10-inch infotainment system with VW's Discover Pro navigation system, though many smartphone users will choose to bypass this with the standard-fit Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you don't, you'll find the menus aren't quite as familiar or easy to use as they are in the Golf, but the system does come with all the functionality you really need.
Elsewhere, you do get some cool touches. We really like this BMW i3 inspired gear selector, and there's a strip of LEDs that run along the base of the windscreen which activate when you're using the car's voice control system. For example, take me to the nearest coffee shop.
Search for cafe nearby.
See? Simple.
Now, we mentioned that baffling range of trims, so if you're buckled up, we'll quickly run through what you get on each model, and hopefully you'll be able to decide which one might suit your needs. First up, there's the Life trim, which comes with the infotainment and comfort packages. As discussed, that brings the 10-inch infotainment system and sat-nav, plus Bluetooth, DAB and a couple of USB-C ports up front. You also get climate control, plus heated seats and a heated steering wheel. At under 30k, this model looks particularly good value for money. Business trim brings matrix LED headlights, LED rear lights, and interior ambient lighting, plus a rear view camera and keyless entry. Some of this kit is useful, but only you can decide if it can be filed under the Essential column. Above this is Style, Family and Tech, adding or taking away things like a panoramic roof, semi-autonomous driving kit, and a head-up display. There's a full list of specs on our website, a link to which you can find in the description below. Max is the standard range topper and includes all of the equipment from the other trim levels, along with 12-way adjustable massage seats, progressive steering and dynamic cruise control. These models are pricey, but you certainly won't be left wanting for standard equipment. The final piece in Volkswagen's slightly complicated ID puzzle is the Tour model, featuring plenty of the kit listed, plus that desirable bigger battery. It's worth noting, however, that this affects practicality, meaning the flagship ID.3 can only carry 4 occupants instead of 5.
Back here, you're likely to be pleasantly surprised. VW's claims that it's as big as a Passat are perhaps a little bit exaggerated, but there is enough space to stretch out. There are a few issues, however. There is a completely flat floor, which is a good thing, but you sit quite high in the middle seat, and this centre console juts out, harming foot space. Definitely, rear seat passengers sitting in the outer seats are better catered for.
At 385 litres, the boot is a bit bigger than a Golf's, but not dramatically so. A bottle of screen wash, if you will. A Kia e-Niro is much bigger in this regard, though if it's a sticking point and you like everything else about the VW, larger ID models are on the way. But why, oh why, when this has been designed as an electric car from the ground up, is there no dedicated underfloor storage for the charge cables? Shame on you, Volkswagen.
But you lot are wondering what this new ID.3 is like to drive, and I'll be honest, it feels like I've been waiting such a long time to see what this car has to offer. But I'm pleased to announce it really doesn't disappoint. It actually feels a lot like a Golf, and by that I mean it's not exceptional in any one area, it just behaves exactly as you hope it would. The steering is nice and light, which means it's easy to place the ID.3 on the road. It's a heavy car, but the centre of gravity is low, which makes it actually handle pretty neatly. It's brisk as well. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes a little over 7 seconds, but if you spend a lot of time in town, you'll find it feels even faster than that. You see, it's rear-wheel drive, so you always get that sensation that you're being pushed away from traffic lights and junctions rather than pulled. It's great fun. I've no complaints about ride quality either, even on our car's 19-inch wheels, which would usually result in a bit of a lumpy, bumpy quality to the way it drives. Refinement is another plus point as well. There's obviously no noise from the engine, but you won't get a headache from wind or road noise, even at higher speeds too. Perhaps the ID.3's biggest disappointment is its regenerative braking system. It just feels a bit weak, even in the car's B mode. Now, many electric cars feature a setup whereby if you lift off the accelerator, they slow to a lesser or greater extent, capturing energy that would otherwise be lost. The ID.3 just doesn't feel that strong, and it's a shame because it's a type of driving that we've really become accustomed to, and it's something we really like. It feels like VW has missed a trick. The ID.3 is an impressive first stab at a dedicated electric car for Volkswagen. But while Volkswagen may have lost its way slightly with the new Golf, improving only incrementally on the model that came before it, this is a completely clean slate, and it's been executed with great success. It feels different to those cookie-cutter Volkswagens we've become so accustomed to, but with a whole raft of ID models on the way, that feeling may not last all that long.
Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.